Holy December, Batman. Oh, we're here. We are in that time of the year. Sitting up here in Massachusetts, waiting on that snow. Just waiting for it to come in. We've gotten through one holiday. We're staring straight down the barrel of the next holidays. Happy Festivus for the rest of us. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. Yeah, Christians, you can say it. Don't worry about it. No one's going to give you any trouble. It's all okay. You can say Merry Christmas.
Most of us aren't scared of that.
Yeah,
that's the funny part.
I'll say Merry Christmas right back to you. I don't care. I'll look you.
Similar to Red Cups, it's not a problem.
No,
I just do Happy Birthday, Jesus.
That's it. Happy birthday, Jesus.
Happy birthday, Jesus.
That's it, man. Just time of year where I like to celebrate my favorite black Jew. It's all good, man.
If it makes you feel any better, I'm the Christian that says, technically he was born in June or July.
There is that. I said that to my father-in-law once. Only once. That was the only time he ever gave me that look of like, get the fuck out of my house right now. I know I let you marry my daughter, and I know, I let you have two kids.
Strike one and two, mister.
That's it. I gotta be honest, I stopped short. I did not fuck with that. I was like, okay.
And he did actually use the word let.
Yeah,
I let you.
He didn't actually use the word. It was all in the look on his face. It said a lot, like
the pump of the shotgun.
Yeah, it might as well have been. He's not that kind of man. He really does live a lot of his faith, and no weapons around the house or anything like that. But it is Josh. We're in we are the Steam Gentlemen. We're back in the Steam tunnels. Couple of quick announcements off the top. Trying to get a few things done up front. Take a moment. Pause the episode right now. Go rate and review us on iTunes. I'm seeing you people out there. I'm seeing you all do your thing out there. It is fantastic. We had our second most downloads in a day, 93. Woohoo! Nice. So we're working out there. Washington State, seeing you out there. You are loving us. I don't know who you are all out there, but some of you in the Seattle area and other stuff, man. East Coast, West Coast love going on. Both sides of Route 90. Okay, just saying. Mm-hmm. We feel you. We're seeing that. We're seeing that love going on out there. If any of you feel like reaching out to us, the email is doyouevensteambro@gmail.com. So feel free to reach out to us. Want to take a quick moment to give a shout out to my nephew, Andrew, who brought the brownie cookie, the brookie, if you will, to the Thanksgiving dinner. Wow. What a dessert. That tasted like the Allies liberating Paris. Okay. That was the taste of America and freedom. And that said, you're welcome from America right there. That is what that tasted like.
Dang, a lot of responsibility on a dessert, man.
It did, it did. Hey, look, let's be clear. It said all of that. And it also said, yeah, we're still going to go home and not treat black people well. But, we've seen.
The brownie said that?
The brownie
said brownie in that,
man.
Well, why you like the racist brownie?
I'm just saying the brownie, the brownie was trying to integrate, right? It was over there in Europe. It was trying to integrate, and it tasted
brownie.
Wonderful. Gonna try and take that back to the U.S.
Got that CEO brownie.
Why brownie? Why?
Hey, the brownie got a little complacent. It basically said, "Well, we're leaping over this bar that we just saw going on in Europe. We're better than this." So
all day
freedom. That's it. That's the case. Because freedom.
Because freedom.
Because freedom. I don't know. I mean, we got the cookie and the brownie to work together, right? Okay. Fantastic.
Racism solved. Go ahead.
That's it. Racism solved, guys. We're going
Racism
home.
solved.
We're good. We're good.
We're a country that put cocaine in a soda, man. All bets have been off for a while.
Woo, yeah, we did.
Need to bring back that Coke original.
All I'm saying is
sooner than you think.
Please do yourself a favor and Google the trailer for Cocaine Bear. Will change your life for the positive forever. That's just all I'm saying. I didn't know.
And the IKEA guys in there.
I didn't know just how much I was missing until that point. But it's Josh the Birdman here. We are resuming our conversations with the triumvirate of geek. Let me introduce my co-host here with you. Sitting to my left here on the Zoom screen, it is the Three of Clubs, Rashawn Smith. How you doing today?
What do you do? How do you do? It's great to be with all of you. Nice to see everyone. Quick shout out to Bullwinkles and also Knott's Berry Farm for our West Coast family in California. You're welcome. I'm representing for you guys, even though I'm basically an asshole. So I just wanted to say that. Also, was going to give Josh a whole lot of credit for his lead-ins because normally he has a pretty cool, unique, and often either quoted or historical reference. But I don't know, he kind of phoned it in on this one. So
I don't know. A brownie.
No, it was the Holy Paris? December Batman. That one.
Oh, yeah, it was the December.
No one wants to talk about the racist brownie that you you enjoyed. By the way,
I mean, I did enjoy. I kind of wanted to talk about the racist brownie. I thought
that brownie.
Thanks,
I had to say it had the cookie on top. It was the brownie and the cookie. They were intermingled. It was the two. You see what I'm saying?
Brownie and
like,
the cookie.
It was like what America should have been. That's all.
I don't talk about the German vanilla ice cream. Actually, no, I'm not gonna go there. Shout out to Germany.
I was debating if I should save you on it.
Shout out to Germany. Love you. Don't eat racist spirals like Josh. Hey, I hear
with that segue, let me introduce my other co-host here. It is the star child himself, Greg DeSense. How you doing today?
I'm feeling good, man. There's no more racism because Josh and pastry is fantastic. This is a beautiful new world. I'm ready to head off into the future.
That we had a couple of
future.
We had a couple of mission statements here when we started TSG, and this was one of them, right? We were going to solve racism through pop culture and pastry. That's it.
And pastry.
And pastry.
Thank you. And what was your nephew's name again?
Andrew, who's out.
Andrew, thank you, Andrew. Much appreciated.
Appreciated that. He's out at Ohio State right now, so hopefully he'll play this for his, his fellow college. He's also dating a girl from Toronto, using his noggin, just like his uncle there. Come on, kid. Nice job, girl. Nice job. All right, well done.
Get you a Canadian.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. It's smart. Kid, smart,
right? I mean, we could talk. That could be like a topic too. You know what I mean? Like,
how to get a Canadian? Where are we
going? We could advise. Yeah, we could advise the younger men. But where's the best region to get you a wife?
Oh, speaking from myself, and my wife is at home right now helping to take care of her mother who just had a hip replacement. I'm gonna say, Canada. That's all. That's all there is to that. We know that we're all set. It's
you can blame those skyrocketing divorce rates on us.
That's it. I do know all the lyrics to "Oh Canada" without a doubt, and now I got a son playing hockey. So go figure. Who's just not for me, and not even really for my wife. She didn't grow up playing hockey, but man, those genes just run strong. He's like, I am playing hockey, and we're gonna do this.
Ironically, not the national sport of Canada.
It is not. It is not. I tried to talk him into lacrosse, and he was like, "Fuck that! I'm going for hockey. I'm going for the more expensive sport. Thank you very much, Dad." All right, but yes, we are traveling on into the future, and that's what brings us here today. I was musing about a few things, talking with the gentleman as we do over our text conversations, and trying to sum up where we're headed and where we're going, but. I was really curious with one central thought this week, and that is the future of pop culture. And I got to put in the echo effect till we get our studio and we go on there. This is the best you're going to get there, Steam people. Really, I'll get to it, but we are living in quite the age of pop culture. I mean, truthfully, for what we grew up with, watching those same movies again on VHS over and over again. I was Gen Xers here. I think it's a bountiful time, but is it? Is it a good time? I mean, nobody seems happy. So really, is the future looking bright? Should it be looking bright? Is it looking better? Or, is it not? Or are we, and I say we, the fans and the fanboys, really just so jaded that we're never going to be happy no matter what is handed to us? And that was the question I wanted to bring before the triumvirate of geek today, and really kind of see if we can hash that out. We solved racism earlier in the episode, so this should be piece
10
of cake.
minutes.
This should be a piece of cake. You know what I'm saying? Preferably one
minutes.
with brownie and cookie mixed together.
To be fair, we've solved racism like 7 different times, so this may not stick for those who are listening, and hoping that tomorrow is a little different than today.
But to tie it back to our subject matter, it's kind of like comic books, kind of like the Avengers, right? I mean, how many times have they had to face down Ultron, right? How many times do the X-Men have to fight Magneto? It's just, just because you vanquish it one time. Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
a lot.
A lot. All right. So stepping on up, he's got his Wolverine claws out right now, or his Black Panther claws, if you prefer. It is our very own Star Child. Mr. Greg DeSense, he's going to take that 10 minutes. He's going to take a swing at it and try and solve if we are going to solve this whole issue. And say, tell us, Greg, is the future looking bright, or are we doomed to just, pop culture monotony? Take it away.
As the universe marches slowly towards entropy, yes, we are doomed in a general sense. So don't ever think for a second that we're not doomed. We're absolutely doomed. But for popular culture, I think, for us generationally, it ends up being a debate about community more than anything else. Because we have these sort of shared memories around these movies, around music, around our parents' music, and they brought you together, right? So because I totally predicted the Netflix thing and movies going straight to it. I knew that was going to happen. I think a lot of people did. I think a lot of people knew that sooner or later, movie theaters were going to be in big trouble, either because they weren't safe and secure, or prices were just getting too expensive, or just, a pandemic, which happened. That fucking happened. The pandemic actually happened. So a lot of these things are becoming more individual, a lot more postmodern, if you will, because it's becoming about that singular pleasure. And I think that's the way pop culture is going. And I think that's the way it's being pushed a lot by technology, without a doubt. Like, you don't need to share anymore, like you can be in your own just personal bubble, listening to music, or just watching movies, or watching TV shows, and so on. But I think the big change that's going to happen is, like, these used to be things that you got together with friends for, like, as I remember, one of the things I definitely miss about being younger is just stupid time. Like, just having time where you really didn't have anything to do. Like, you were just bebopping around and just living. And I easily had about, I don't know, 3 or 4 record stores that I used to frequent constantly. Like, it was just my thing. Anybody that knows In Your Ear in New England, like, there were a couple of locations here and there. Skippy White's, everybody knew Skippy White's in New England. It was the place to be. You met there and you listened to music together, and you talked about music, and it was a community vibe. And everyone, you had the option of listening to records. Yes, records there. And I think a lot of that feeling, even though we can now carry music around with us, and we can carry our shows and movies around with us, I think that's going to be the next victim of how pop culture is going to change. And then you have actually the content. Everyone's getting more and more worked up about the almighty algorithm. Okay, the algorithm, or just, a handful of douchebags in suits, or, a group of people that are making up their minds about where they want their investment to go, or just corporations who just feel like they need to keep buying up everything. Absolutely, yes. Like, the more money gets involved, the more that there is just only the profit motive. Yeah, you're going to see a lot more content made just to bring in baseline of profit. And yeah, that is absolutely inevitable. Will it be bad for pop? I think it's bad ultimately for art, for creativity. I would rather see a creative, terrible film than a film that people agree is good that just, checks off the boxes. Like right now, a couple of weeks ago, I pointed out the issue with sidekicks. Sidekicks are a thing. They're adorable. They give, people something to talk about and or laugh at. It's something. But sidekicks, they're sort of like, 80s TV shows where they used to bring in the orphan. Like, ratings are in trouble once you start bringing in the sidekicks or the orphan. I'm not sure. Like, whatever.
Looking at you, Leo.
Right. That's right. Leonardo DiCaprio was a cute kid who got dragged in from nowhere like that. That is how he started. So, the thing about the sidekick thing is obviously they're trying way too hard to bring in a young audience that probably doesn't really care about this IP. Like it's like a TV show or something, but they're trying to bring in that younger audience. My first thinking was, okay, so that probably means that this version is going to be awful, but young people are going to like it. I'm going to wait 10 years for them to get a little bit older. By the time the corporations are marketing to them, they're going to try to be more substantial and more entertaining. And then I'll jump back on the bandwagon because, they'll have to do something edgy again because their fan base grew up. I'll be right there. But it's going to be more decisions based on that, which, like I said, with The Orphan is nothing new. A lot of this is nothing new. Like really it's being repackaged, but these are a lot of the just same kind of tired tropes that they fall back on whenever they feel like they got to squeeze a little extra money out of it. Did it give the Cosby Show 1 or 2 extra seasons? Yeah, it did. Like will it kind of yeah, exactly, kind of sort of, will it give you, a little bit more time? Does it give the main character a few more wisecracks to give? Absolutely. But apart from that, it really doesn't add anything new to it. So I think a lot of the, panic about the algorithm isn't going to make a huge difference. If anything, like I said, it's going to be harder for independent filmmakers. Hopefully they can use technology to the best benefit, but I think it's going to be more difficult for them because there was nothing more fun than that, film, that movie or TV show that just came out of nowhere and was just brilliant. There was a show called The State, and The State was a sketch comedy show that was absolutely mad. It was mad, and it came out of nowhere. And I feel like shows like that, movies like that, ideas like that are in danger because they're risks. They're risks, and a big part of the creative process is also making things that actually aren't going to be successful. But that's not the point. The point is it's part of the journey. It's part of the process for making something that ideally will be very good. So I don't think that part, the guys in the suits coming in to screw everything up in the end, I don't know. I don't think that's at all new. I just think that, it's going to be more and more difficult for creatives, for people to really come up with something new and original, So, there's that. And then, of course, money and technology. These are two things. Technology is very expensive and technology is being geared more towards individual enjoyment, not really community enjoyment and money. It's going to come down to that. So as much as I want to say I don't think we're going to be happy, I honestly think that these things go in cycles. Like I said, in 10 more years when they have to cater to a older fan base now, they're going to make these things good again. And I'm going to be a lot more engaged in those. But you have to ride it out. You have to write it out. Like they're going to be absolutely dark times, but there's always something else. For every, I don't know, Loki and Hawkeye and, other bountiful amounts of shit from Disney that I'm not going to watch, I've got The Boys. Thank God for The Boys. And The Boys are making me happy whenever. You know what I mean? So, elephant in the room, lastly but not leastly, Are we Gen Xers just bitching? Are we just complaining because the stuff we like and the stuff we grew up with is being ridden out and bastardized? I mean, I guess it depends on whether or not you're okay with having had that time with your content. I mean, that's really it. Like, you just have to be happy about when Star Wars was your Star Wars and you thought it was the best for whatever reason, because, you're wrong. And, you have to just appreciate that now it's being geared towards another audience, and hopefully you can get in on it. But most likely you will not, because it is for a younger audience, just like when Star Wars originally came out. That was for a younger audience, and everybody who grew up on James Cagney movies was like, this is bullshit. So it's important that you embrace that. If you can't embrace that, then yes, you're going to be miserable. You are just going to be miserable. You are going to think every change made to it is absolute garbage. But I think the thing that binds us all together is the fact that not the fact, but definitely my opinion, without a doubt, the most remakes and other things are coming out of our generation. That means we were the best, because they can't improve on that good shit. You can be happy about that. You're on mute.
Every time.
Sexy Josh, you're on mute.
Oh my God. It's like watching Grandpa work the remote.
Right?
And I'm not even ageist. I'm just talking about for our generation, that generation did not grow up with that kind of contraption. And it was normally called a contraption.
It is. Like, is he getting it? Nope. He's still on.
Are you still muted?
Josh, are you muted?
Oh, I guess I am. I did that again.
All right.
Was your CPAP off last night?
I was Grandpa working the newfangled contraption. That's all. I just was saying that Greg went right to the end there and held it back, and then he just whipped that right out on the table and said, "Take a look at that in all its glory. Look at that. You ain't improving on that. No way. That's happening right here."
I kind of feel like it is, man. I kind of feel like it is. I'm not going to change that.
That's okay, and I'm not gonna change the
you went
fact
LBJ on us.
Totally. I was going. LBJ is definitely I was going to Uncle Morty there. So it's just
it was Morty.
Yeah, it was Morty. All right, there.
Or William Forsythe and Deuce Bigelow.
Yeah, exactly. That's how that way. You can't improve on that. This is that generation. You make some interesting points, though, Gregory. I mean, yeah, a lot of what we're seeing right now is a lot of what came out of Gen X's dreams. It's very interesting to me how chic the geek is now, that we can even do and talk about the things that we're talking about that were
Absolutely.
not cool when we were kids. Like,
Nope.
Comic-Con now is a billion-dollar industry. It's a lot of money, right? The small. We just have one down in Rhode Island, not too far from us. The big one in San Diego every year. That's a big fucking deal. All right. A lot of money goes into that just to have a bunch of nerdy guys like us show up and listen to panels and what have you.
All right, people, look, I get
that.
it.
I was just going to throw in one quick thing. I was like, and we've touched on that too, that nerd culture is profitable because nerds buy crap. They do. Like, they want every different version of us. Absolutely. And I mean, think about that too. Like Star Wars. Oh, the crap can be endless. Transformers, the crap can be endless. Like, the money, it is an absolute factor in, how happy we're going to be with this stuff, or maybe they don't care.
All I'm going to say is, regardless of wherever direction or whatever direction or however direction this conversation goes, I think I'm begging the world, forget TSG, forget just our listeners. I'm begging the world to get away from this narrative of talking about these things as if they weren't cool when we were growing up. Yes, more often than not, you probably found a group of people that were classified as stereotypically as nerds enjoying these things. But I ask people, if it was so underground, if it was so like no one but the nerds supported it, how the fuck did it actually stay around? Like we're talking about entities that made shitloads of money. And because they made so much money, they did dumb shit that sometimes got them in trouble, like the comic book industry. A lot of people would argue, people who love comics and lived their whole life enjoying comics, that part of what happened in the 80s was they got so fucking in their own shit that they just started getting crazy by the 90s that they made themselves bankrupt multiple different times. We're not talking about small cottage industry people. And yes, more often than not, you weren't going to find a cool person at Comic-Con in 1989. But guess what? You're not going to find them unless they're attached to some IP that they're getting paid for in fucking 2022 or 23. So get away from this whole like, we're here now because we spend money. We're the popular people. Like, stop. Just stop. Enjoy your shit. And stop trying to make it more than it fucking is.
That was the three of clubs grabbing his Mario star and having his little moment there. I
can't. Like, I've been listening to this ever since the MCU has been getting big, where I've been listening to people talk about like they fucking had to go underground and like do like adventurous shit to get comic books growing up. Not like it wasn't sold in every goddamn store in existence in the 80s. Like, it didn't matter where you were. You could have been at a gas station in the middle of the goddamn desert with fucking almost nothing to sell. Definitely not nourishment, but guess what? It's going to be on a fucking rack? Comic books. Like, it was all over the place. People need to stop. They just sucked at making movies, but guess what? They're also making other sci-fi movies, and they weren't doing it just because they're making a couple of nice nerds feel good about themselves or a couple of cool geeks that are fucking sons of producers. No, because they made goddamn money. That's why.
All right. We put out the stool in Rashawn's corner. He's going back. He's getting the pat down. His cut man's working him over. I'm gonna step up to the plate here. I'm just gonna say one quick note on the nourishment, man. As far as what you could find in a gas station in the 1980s, is that Chocolicious, okay? Hostess had the chocolate, had the chocolate cream on top, had the cream in the middle, had the chocolate cake and the chocolate frosting on top. Okay, that's all you needed. That's it. And my body looked like it. My body definitely looked like it at the time.
That's when Little Debbie was queen.
That was Hostess though. That was Hostess. Chocolicious.
Yeah, but Little Debbie was sexy.
All right, yeah, Little Debbie.
I see you, Little Debbie.
I see you over there, Little Debbie.
Little Debbie.
Nowadays, Little Debbie
cookies with
can't lie to me.
That would be like crack to me.
Cookies.
Was that the oatmeal? The soft oatmeal cookies with the cream in it. That was like crack to me. And even after I found and like bit into a bug, and I was still like 50-50 after. I'm like,
oh yeah.
It's not their fault. Like, bugs are all over the place. They outnumber us like a million to one.
I remember
that's not fair.
I remember when I was being fancy and I'd get a fudge round.
Oh man! All right.
Fudge round.
Taking a little,
I actually found an ant in my chunky. We should do it.
All right, down the rabbit hole we go. But I'm going to step up here for my 10 minutes worth. And like I said, Greg, as always, you bring up a lot of good thought-provoking, grist for the mill. I'm a little more optimistic than you. Shocker. You see, what was wild to me was the other week, it was last week when we were talking about, is fascism going to be promoted by our superheroes, right? And I go right to The Boys, which you pointed out is a great IP these days and something that keeps you going. You seem more optimistic about that. Me, I was sort of saying it was mirroring what we have in this society. But today I'm going to play the optimist. I think a lot of what you point out is there, but what we have now, it's a mixed blessing and it's a curse. We have the algorithm and we have all of these outlets. Now, the problem with that is there is so much competing for our attention. It's a true embarrassment of riches, right? For a generation like the three of us that grew up with a television with rabbit ears and that circular UHF, which was the best antenna. Let's face it, all the good shit was on UHF. Oh yeah, growing up around here in the Boston area, every late Saturday we had the Creature double feature. God, that was the best. Man. You get all a combination of the Hammer films, and like some of the worst stuff from the 70s, sometimes going all the way back to the 50s, with just terrible monster movies and vampire movies and werewolf movies and what have you, and whatever effect that'll have in the election coming up. It just was all there, but that was what we had, right? That we would sit there for 2 hours in front of that TV. God forbid we go outside and play on a Saturday, because that was the entertainment we have. Now, as you say, we have all this streaming. We have YouTube, right? With original content. Within that, you have people like us talking about the content within the content, which keeps me entertained for hours. It probably is killing my attention span, but all right. So, maybe I was on the periphery of ADHD before, and now I've been brought solidly into ADHD. I don't want to say it caused it, but let's just say it aided and abetted. But therein is where I get the hope. That's where I get the sort of hope from it all. And part of that hope, yes, guys, it's from us. I remember seeing, going to see, I've mentioned it on our love letter to Generation X, our episode about Clerks, giving ourselves a callback. Yeah, we've reached that point. I'm giving ourselves callbacks. Where I got to meet Kevin Smith at film school when I was at Emerson. And, part of the big deal about Kevin was I'm saying that like I know him personally, he had sold his comic book collection, right? That was the big thing. He sold his comic book collection to make that movie. And it was such a big deal. He makes a 16 millimeter film. He blows it up to 35, and it starts his career. And all throughout my time in the 90s, there was kind of always that promise that we were going to be like him, but we were going to be the generation, because of the technology, that was going to be able to really start to do this, particularly in film. And I feel like it's finally arrived, only, 20 years later than I thought it was going to, right? But the fact that the three of us are sitting here, and through a little grit, a little determination, a shit ton of memes, and what have you, we're talking to people across the country now. We get to sit down once a week, have a few laughs, have our fun, talk about our favorite pop culture and where, how it affects us and what we think of it. So to me, that's like the brightest possibility. That's with all it is. It's within our grasp. We get to participate now, however haltingly, however small, but just to actually contribute, hopefully within the sphere of our art. You mentioned Star Wars. Yeah, you're right. Star Wars is going back, of course, and it's there. And yeah, it's there for a younger generation. But we do get to see those little things that we wanted to see. I get to see those moments. I get to see Obi-Wan cut Darth Vader's mask and see Anakin underneath it for the first time, and see how that was before he became Alec Guinness, and see some of those interactions. And it goes multiple levels. You're right, Greg. The prequels, for example, definitely for the kids. You get Jar Jar Binks, you get all those, you get the Ewoks in the first one, you get Jar Jar Binks. You're right? Lucas was saying, hey, I'm making this for the kids, but there are more creators in it now. You get to get a bit of a Western flavor with The Mandalorian. I just finished up Andor, some of my favorite Star Wars ever right now, because it suits me for where I am, right? 48, pushing 50. They had some shit in there that was kind of gritty, kind of dark. Not trying to give away too much, but it was more that ground view of living life under the galactic empire, right? It was saying, hey, this is not fun. This is not a good time. Nobody, you don't get to fly around in the Millennium Falcon yelling yeehaw. You got to live through this day by day. You got to gut this out. This is not easy. And this takes its toll. So that's a fascinating take on it. One of the things, that changes it, yes, are the reboots. But do you do a good reboot or do you do crappy reboot? Well, obviously nobody likes a crappy reboot, right? However, there are some absolute nuggets out there. I can tell you, I'm on the 4th or 5th time watching through. Again, going back to Disney. I guess I'm Disney's bitch today, but all right, no surprise there. I mean, I did go to a Star Wars themed hotel with my family, so and sacrificed my kids. I sacrificed my kids' college education for it. So, God damn it, I enjoyed it. But I'm on the 3rd or 4th watch through of DuckTales, the new a reboot of that, which is some of the cleverest goddamn writing I've ever seen. It has jokes for every level. They're not necessarily dirty. They maybe just skirt the edges of it, so it's not, quote unquote, the dirty humor, but it's funny. It calls back to pop culture. It teases itself. It's meta. It does all of those things episode by episode. They actually put a lot of love and care into each of the main ducks. They give them slightly different personalities, right? Huey is, totally anal retentive and, lives and dies by his junior woodchuck guide, right? Dewey wants to be a star. He has his own nighttime talk show called Dewey Tonight, right? Where he's talking to the audience and breaking that. Louie is just trying to get rich, however it takes, right? He's a con man through and through. At one point, he is at a party trying to con his way out of these goodie bags that are filled with gold and gems, and looks straight at the person throwing the party and says, "Well, it was a great party. I can't wait to tell my therapist about it when I'm older." Right? So, like, just throwing in those things that are, my kids. And what happens? It's the same thing that happened when my dad watched the Muppets with me, right? And he'd get the jokes and I didn't. I will die laughing watching the jokes, and my kids are always trying to get me to watch the jokes again that I really like, and seeing it happen over and over again. So I feel, like we're in this golden age. Okay, on the downside, didn't love She-Hulk. I didn't love it, right? Wasn't great. I see what they were doing with it. It was meta. It was fourth wall breaking. She was one of the first original people to do it. I get it. Writing fell a little flat. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm going to move on. If you showed up before the show came out and you started review bombing it before you had watched episode 1, you are the people they're teasing. You are who they're talking about. Yes, we live in this golden age. We're going to be bombarded by entertainment. We're not going to love it all. But for crying out loud, people, it's just like the same problem that a lot of us have. A lot of us, at least listening to this show in the sound of our voice, are living better than most of the people in the world. And, take that moment and just be a little grateful, right? Like, I understand maybe some people listen to this are not falling into that category. And I hear you. But the fact of the matter is, entertainment wise, guys, you're getting the good shit. You're getting all the good shit. So even what you don't like, just take a step back, man. Because, as I say, you're talking to a generation that grew up with bunny ears and that little round UHF antenna, and that was all you got. So you made the best of it from then, all right? And if you didn't like it, well, too bad. You were still going to watch it for that 2 hours. Now you can just go over to your next streaming channel, for Christ's sake, and watch the next thing. So I don't know. I mean, who knows? It's like my kids to a certain extent, right? When I sometimes try and give them the perspective, it's hard to have the perspective you don't have. And even when you have it, you get used to what you have now, right? We grew up with so little. On the other hand, entertainment wise, on the other hand, now it's like, this sucks, all right, I want to move on and all that. So my outlook on the future is it's still pretty bright, guys. It's still pretty good. You still get a lot of good entertainment. There's some flops in there, but there's plenty of BoJack Horsemans. There's plenty of Deadpools. There's plenty of things out there that you can look forward to. So that's my 2 cents worth on the future of pop culture and where we're headed.
I agree with that. That was very good. Yeah, I don't think we're
you guys are
polar opposites on that one. Yeah.
I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun when I took the slightly more pessimistic view on fascism and superheroes, even though I love my superheroes.
I mean, the all right, 2 things. One, the direction I go in is I'm just not going to watch it. And I think that that's another good piece of advice. That's about, if you weren't into the She-Hulk comic, you probably won't be into the She-Hulk show. Just don't watch it. If you just think that, like me, I'm not going to watch Obi-Wan. Why? Because I haven't heard anything that would make me want to. And honestly, Obi-Wan's the only character they haven't fucked up yet. And I like holding on to that. So you know what? I'm going to keep it. You don't have to watch everything. Like, none of this, you don't, right. There's no reason to get angry. Just don't watch it. I didn't watch Loki. I didn't watch Hawkeye because it's fucking Hawkeye. Like, I didn't watch anything. Like it's fucking like just don't watch it. Like it's really not that hard. And I think for what you were saying takes me to my second point. About what you were saying was, yeah, you have to be able to write it out, because Star Wars is a perfect example, because the first one was made for a young audience. Older audience didn't appreciate it. The next trilogy made for a younger audience again. Older audience didn't appreciate it. Third one was made for a younger audience again, which I debate that it actually was, but we can have that fight later on.
It wasn't.
Older audience didn't
one,
appreciate it.
No.
Yeah, so I think that, like that cycle of things is important. And just don't watch it.
You guys amaze me. It's like you guys think money just started right now. So you mean to tell me that the empire of Star Wars, the foundation which created literally billions of dollars for Disney, was buoyed by a bunch of kids in the late 70s, early 80s? Are you guys out of your mind? It's the same thing now. It's adults who have purchasing power. They'll use whatever example they want. Sure, if you're lucky, you could bring kids along. No different than we with the Muppets, as Josh pointed out, or as Josh is doing with his kids with DuckTales, where you're laughing your ass off. Your kids don't know the reference. They don't even know why you care about the difference between Huey, Dewey, and Louie. They don't even give a shit because they don't know their background. No different to any younger generation. You literally had the argument that we were from the golden age because of reproducing shit that we grew up in. Totally skipping over the fact that a lot of the stuff that remakes that we like, that we didn't even know were remakes, fucking adults that we were around hated because it was shit on their remakes. And on top of that, so then you're going to just skip over also the fact that you even pointed out George Lucas said in the second iteration of the Star Wars movies that he made it for kids. But you just totally missed the fact that what he said was literally what you just said you enjoy right now and what you think is the golden age because of you in your existence. Not necessarily you, but in our generation, in the sense of what George Lucas was saying is good, bad, or indifferent. If a bunch of kids like it and a bunch of nostalgic assholes like the three of us go watch it no matter what. Now I just created two fucking viewership pools that are just going to move along with the property. So in 10 years, they're going to appreciate maybe a little bit more adult stuff while I weed in some younger stuff, like a bunch of cartoons and stuff like that. Why? Because it creates generations of viewership. No different than what you're saying. So 20 years from now, some asshole is going to be like, yeah, 2022, that was the golden age of it because we had all these different things, not even understanding the reference.
Rashawn,
I don't think I
gotta
said.
say, you've got to try out for like a swim team, man, because I don't think you took a breath during that entire thing, and you went. Like,
I don't think I said that. I think I said that. It's an ebb and flow.
I said Josh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay,
yes.
Josh. Yeah.
That was mostly for me there. I get that. Maybe a few references covered your way. You just got back from vacation, man. I thought you were gonna be relaxed. I thought you were gonna be chill.
I actually slept. So this is unfortunately for everyone involved. This is actually 3 clubs at near 80%.
This is peak 3 of clubs going on right there. As I said, you went about 6 lengths of the pool. You barely took a breath. Well, all right, man. Come on in. Come on. You're already hot. You're already warmed up. You're already ready to go. You've had like 2 Mario stars and a flower. So you're spitting fire. You got those rims, spinning down at Rainbow Row, and you're mean mugging Donkey Kong right now. That's all. That's what's happening here. That's what's going on. So let's get 10 minutes here with the 3 of clubs on the future of pop culture. Where are we going? Is it bright or are we doomed?
Yeah, I think I figured out why I always suck at my moments, and it's because your lead in gives me a lot to think about that just completely takes me away from what I was going to say, or even what I was going to say before what I was going to say. And it becomes a shit show before I even start. However, today's no different, so I might as well kick in. I'm way better when I'm just responding to something than versus trying to go off of notes that I wrote 20 minutes ago while listening to some fairly good, if not well done and excellent point. So I appreciate you guys. I would point out it's kind of weird that every generation looks at technology as the answer to the question of how to produce something better, when in fact, more often than not, sure, it helps move things forward. Matter of fact, preparing for today's topic, I actually did do a little bit of research to point out that sure, in every iteration of cinema, there's some sort of technological advance that is actually an improvement on the innovation of which it's celebrated about. So, like, for example, 3D happened in the 1800s. People didn't understand that, but they look at Avatar and the advancements that it did to sort of think of it as a sort of technology advancement, so to speak. Now, did it create a better story? I would argue most of us may beg to differ. And sure, there's generations that are maybe disconnected from ours that exists that may feel different. That's kind of the point. But anyway, I just point out it's weird that we say technology is going to lead to an answer when in fact we're still reading books from like 500 years ago without actually creating a religion about it. So we find entertainment where we want to find it, and we find it in ways that make sense to us. No different than staring at a painting, rereading a poem left and right, or watching a movie from the 1980s over and over and over and over. I'm not saying I've done that recently, but I get it. So what I was gonna lead with was total 3 clubs moment, which by the way, I did play blackjack while I was away. I was smart enough to understand that if I started with more money than I began with, if I end up with more money than I started with, I'm in a good spot. So obviously not like this moment right here, but I did play blackjack. So here, 3 clubs. I was bound to fucking miss on one of my hands. This might be it. Now, look, I would like to tell you a couple of quick stories. It involves beer because frankly, I never really liked beer growing up. Matter of fact, when I was 6, I'm from the 80s, people. My dad, to point out how he knew I was going to hate beer, he literally gave me a midget, which that's what it was called. You can be upset with me if you want, but you're going to have to be upset with Anheuser-Busch first, because that's what they were called. Or maybe that's actually what people at the bar called it. All right. Anyway, point being, that totally is not going to help, but he literally gave me one, and he's like, yeah, go ahead, knock yourself out. And he knew I would take one sip and be like, what the fuck? Why are adults drinking this? What's wrong with you? But I did grow up in New England. I did grow up in Massachusetts. I have said what town, so I'll leave it at that, to not put people on complete blast. But you have to sort of, if you're going to be at parties, learn to enjoy and sort of enjoy beer enough to drink it to copious amounts, to the fact that you're at a party where all you're doing is standing around drinking. It's not the glamorous life that is promised in the brochures, but you get by when you're in high school and early or late teens, maybe. I don't know. Point being is like you just drink shitload. So I grew up doing it. I got it, understood it, and I developed the taste. What does that have to do with the point? Nothing. But that kind of leads to a moment where I was at pig roast.
Crushing
in college. I was pig roast in college, and I got so hammered that I needed to go outside to find a place to piss from the bar because the line was backed up, and we all know I have a bladder about 5 minutes long, and I couldn't figure out how to get around this fence, so I decided that I was going to climb it. But in doing so, because it was a barbed wire fence, I was that lit that I tried to climb it, cut my pants and a lot of me wide open, and got to the other side and finally pissed. When I turned around and figured when I was done pissing, I looked at the fact that fence was literally done 10 yards away from where I was standing. Another story that started with me meeting up with one of my buddies that I only knew him as Crabtree. The night started with a handle of Jack and a handgun, and it ended with me fucking drinking a shitload of beer at the basement of a country bar. And long story short, I woke up on the side of a highway, and that was my fault. Actually, my fault. So what does that have to do with anything? I hated beer for a lot of reasons, but I ended up drinking it. I just consumed it because that's what I had to do. Fast forward to the point where, and it's actually before I landed on the highway, woke up on a highway. This is actually a true story. I did wake up on a highway, next to a highway. Weird shit. But anyway, I was working at a liquor store. Dude comes in. I thought the story was going to be a lot faster. Dude comes in. He's a rep. He comes in. He has microbrew. Now, you have to remember, I'm in my early 40s. So microbrew was kind of really new in the early 2000s. It was not what it is now. I had one and it was awesome. And I'm like, this is great. I actually like beer. And more because of microbrew, I learned to like beer a whole lot. What does that have to do with the fuck we're talking about? That's actually what entertainment to me really is and has been and was moved towards. In a lot of different ways, what entertainment has been able to do is go from these monoliths that sort of package these things that whether you liked it or not, you had to consume it, or else you were sort of left out in the cold and you were finding other things to consume your time. You sort of had to consume it. So if you liked it, great. And maybe you had a couple of good times. Some of the times where I was drinking piss poor beer were some of the best times of my life. Did I just name two of them? I don't know if I did, but hey, they're things I always think about. Some of the other times were moments where it came from independent sources that were absolutely mind-blowing and changed the way I looked at things, changed my approach about things, changed how I hoped about things, changed my perspective all about it. That could be some of the microbrews that I talked about. To this day, there are certain beers that I absolutely adore and love and would love to drink. I could not say that I was going to be coming from the 6-year-old that had the fucking small 6-ounce beer back in the early 80s. So I think entertainment kind of moved to that sense. However, also because of this drive of loving and supporting the micro or the independent or, the different, which same thing with entertainment, when you break it down the IPs, you actually end up supporting the monolith anyway. Because after a while, the big company is just going to scoop up what you really like and they're just going to package it the same way. Now, respect to them right now, where it's going. That's kind of how they've been doing it. They're just being like, all right, we'll respect what you like. And for the most part, we'll give you what you want. And that's no different, say, Disney taking Star Wars and giving you shit like Andor. They're just like, hey, all right, we got it. Your generation wants different approaches to it in sort of episodic ways. We'll do it. Does every single person want? No different than every single beer drinker doesn't like every single microbrew. But a decent amount of Budweiser drinkers, if they're being honest, will drink a decent amount of microbrews. That's just how it goes. That's how companies understand it. That's how corporations are created. That's how monopolies are created, gentlemen. It's always about making money. So where do I think the future is going? I'm going Black Mirror on you guys because, frankly, we're kind of already there. We already have AI that has the possibility and the potential and the ability to replace images. So that's just going to end up being the simple likeness of the point of talent moving in that direction. So the future, I think, is weird, bleak, and somewhat endless in a weird-ass way. So here we go. The question actually has to come down to not where the future is going, but for what and for whom. So if we're talking about the actual talent, I think sadly it's not going to end up being a good life for them. It may be on the surface no different than the way it is now, and a lot of people could argue we're already there. But digitalizing and using the work of AI will end up basically taking the likeness of that talent and basically keeping it almost a soul trapping way. It will belong to sort of these monolithic corporations that are giving us the entertainment. And frankly, we're going to be so involved, no different than how people understood how fucked up places like Walmart were to their workers. But they're still like, yeah, if I still need my 120 socks for $3, or frankly, yeah, I'm going to be looking at a lot of people that I love and support, and myself included. We want that iPhone, but we're okay with where those chips are coming from. We're just going to be so involved in the entertainment that we're going to be, okay, if you want to give your life to entertainment, you want to be a talent that ends up having their likeness controlled by a corporation until the end of time because they digitalize your likeness. There it is. Also, corporations probably not going to look good in a lot of different ways. They may approach it in the sense of a micro corporation, these Blum houses that have given you a bunch of different options. But for the most part, it'll probably end up being owned by the same one or two companies like it is now. I don't see that being different. And for us, I think it's going to get kind of weird. I think a lot of things are going to move in the sense of, hey, we already have people trying to put chips in your head. So I think what ends up going to happen is what happens to a lot of situations in humankind. Technology will move to the point where equipment starts to move away or starts to be reduced, and implementation goes a little bit closer to who we are and what we are. So our consciousness may end up controlling what we end up having as content creating, which will end up creating the sea, almost this infinite sea of intellectual properties that we believe maybe we own or have access to. But sadly, just like the talent that we're watching, will end up being owned by one or two companies. That's the future.
All right. I just want to say, Greg, I've been talking to you about t-shirt design, and you need to come up with a t-shirt design that somehow incorporates a fifth of Jack, a handgun, and a underground country bar. I don't know. Just somehow work with me here.
I can do that.
Go on.
Yeah.
Let's
It
go
was
on.
a good night. People need to understand. Yes, I'm a black man
Goddamn
talking about this
straight.
was in Nashville. I'm a
Should
black
we
man
just
talking
start
about
making?
that. It was
I
a
feel
good night.
like I feel like we
And
should just start making Framingham merch.
Yeah,
I think
and
so.
well, that story happened in Nashville, and I do want to give respect to the individuals that I was around during that time. My experience, can't speak for everyone, but the bars I was in, my experience were really, really awesome, really cool, and I can prove that because I lost my wallet, had to go back to those places, and it was like a Fight Club moment where I would walk in, and people were like, "Well, it's good to see you, sir. You had yourself a good time the other night. How are you doing?" One guy kind of gave me like the look. I'm like, wait, am I supposed to give you the look back? Is someone gonna get fucked up? Are you gonna pee in someone's fucking beer right now? Like, what the fuck is happening? It was insane, but nothing but love and respect to those bars. I can't speak for where they are now or who's there now. I was just saying my time.
But this is why he is our three of clubs, because he's talking about jumping a barbed wire fence and almost getting his balls caught on the barbed wire, trying to take a piss, and you tied it all up.
These are important
back
details.
down to, bring it back down to, like you say, microbrews and macrobrews and everything else. That my brother-in-law used to work for Molson Canada, right? Big company. Molson Coors, huge. Coors Molson, depending on which side of the border you're on, they always like to go back and forth on who's in charge. But nevertheless, I used to drink a lot of Blue Moon. Used to like that. My dad liked that brand a lot. Well, guess who bought it? Molson, right? They still make it. They still kind of make it the way you like it. But guess what, right? And I think that is how you, as always, I just sit back and wonder, and just amazement knowing you're going to stick the landing. But that's it right there, right? You're right. Going back to the Crow, right? Man has an idea. The idea becomes an institution. So, right? You're summed up right there.
Your favorite beer or movie property is either going to be consumed by a giant, or you're going to love it to the point that it becomes a giant. That's the nature of capitalism. And to be clear, I want to clean up what I said, because I was definitely going to warp speed. I sincerely mean, like, the future of consumerism will probably end up being some weird sort of implementation where our consciousness sort of creating content that sort of a hybrid. Like, we'll get an idea or a likeness, and then basically whatever our consciousness creates, and these likenesses can do anything, like die over and over if we want to take it to extremes. And we're kind of already there, because there's equipment that's been created where someone's trying to make a video game where you wear certain equipment where it blows up if you die in the video game. Like we're already kind of moving in that direction. So I can see our consciousness now being an intellectual property that we think, sadly, we still own, but no different than probably air. And eventually we're paying for it.
So Ready Player One. Arashan is going with Ready Player One.
We're going over Ready Player One.
I love it.
Not Ready Player One. Fuck that movie. Fuck that book. And fuck that story. Actually, not fuck that book. And it's just more the guy who wrote it. I'm not really down for that dude. But
all right, Greg.
I don't mean in a video game way. I just mean like in a more expansive way.
There you go. Greg, what you got? What you got in your thoughts here?
A lot of artists sit around and they start talking about things like that, like what's technology going to end up doing to creatives, what is it that people are going to want, what is the essence, like why do we need to be entertained, and can just a simple algorithm give us those things to the point where we don't give a shit, like sustenance is sustenance, and if all you want is a full belly and greasy lips, then there's a lot of good ways to give that to you. I think that idea, like capitalism and like a lot of things that people have always thought are going to give them fulfillment, and clearly time has shown that it has not, isn't going to be enough. So I don't think people are going to go that way. But I do think that, yeah, absolutely. I mean, more and more as these big companies gobble up smaller companies because growth, you're going to see a lot of that, just kind of consolidating over the years. Where people will go, I mean, I can't say that for sure because again, like you have to get to the bottom of what it is people are looking for when they go and look into a piece of entertainment. And when, I think about it, I think about like part of the reason that we enjoy the entertainment is the part of it that is the human endeavor. And if the human endeavor isn't there, then it is missing a big piece of it. When people find out a machine made something, there's always this kind of, oh,
right now.
I think especially, with that, and maybe I was really optimistic, but I think with that and all of the content that has been made, I think people will still have a lot of choices. I think they'll try to drum those choices out of people, but yeah, I mean, that's all of that is definitely still on the table.
Well, I think we had some deep thoughts here. I think we had some real good points. I just want to touch on capitalism again. Greg, what is the link to the merch here? Talk about your manic art. And because Greg is a great artist, I just want to say one thing. Greg is a fantastic artist. I got to know Greg when I saw him sketching behind the security desk there at the building we both worked at. And we started talking all kinds of shit. We started talking comic books, politics, God knows what else, and that's how this whole, this friendship.
That's pretty much how a big part of it just kind of happened.
And I really do want, I love the designs Greg has made, and I want those going out into the world there. So what's your link there for Manic Art for the merch? I'll put it I'm going to link it in the bio too. And
let's do that because I'm actually trying because I want to get it right. Because I think I gave it to you one time and I put it in wrong.
All right. But also his artwork is out there. I know you're out there on Instagram as Manic Art, right? For some of your artwork that you put out there into the world as well, right?
Correct.
Okay. I got that tag right and going. And, while you're out there, continue to spread the word, continue to spread the good word about the Steam Gentlemen and all that we are doing in pop culture and social commentary. We're on the Facebook. We are the Steam Gentlemen podcast. We're on the Instagram. Do you even Steam, bro? The gram? Is that what the kids say? I'm being hip. I'm being young. Hey, now. I'm trying to keep up with
they say that.
I don't think they do either.
I don't think they're listening to us.
I kind of, let's face it. Like majority, when I see you out there, I look at who's following us. Start to see you trend a little bit younger, but most of it is Gen X like us. So might as well go in there. And honestly, it looks like an audience at a Rush show. It's like mostly men in their 40s. And then as time goes on, it was still mostly men in their 40s. Okay. But I'm down with you. We feel you. For those female listeners out there hanging in on that. Amelia, I know you're still listening on this.
Congratulations, Amelia.
Congratulations, Amelia. Had her son, Mike. That's great. We're really happy for her. But all right, make sure to go on there and please go on over to iTunes. Speaking of the great grand poobah of algorithms, rate and review us, please, so we can sacrifice to that all-powerful algorithm. Gonna bring it out with the final thoughts. Gonna bring it back on over to the Three Clubs. What do you got going on for the rest of the week? What are your final thoughts for the week?
As always, I have no effing clue what I'm gonna do directly after this. So big ask for the rest of the week. However, would like to, once again say thank you to all the people who been riding with us, and those of you who just joined and started to listen. Thank you. Josh's stat earlier was pretty awesome and profound. We look to continue to grow that. So I want to continue to say thank you for that. And I believe it was, I could be misquoting this individual, but I believe it was the capitalist Warren Buffett that said it was the first 90 downloads that were the hardest. So, I think, it was 90.
Definitely Warren Buffett. That was definitely
him.
Yeah, that
but
was
could have been
Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett, but I get him confused sometimes. Which one said it's 5 o'clock somewhere?
That was Jimmy.
Ironically, both.
Let's be honest here. Who stole from whom? I don't know. Star Child, give us your final thoughts and what you're doing and what lead us out here for the rest of our week.
I'm like everybody else, trying to get ready for Christmas because, the Lord.
Yeah.
And food, family, and fighting as usual.
Yeah. Love it. Always the good stuff. I know that you got all those the good holiday celebrations to look forward to. Well, as I mentioned, my wife's out of town, so this time when I've been recording with you fine gentlemen, I've given my kids a little primer on 80s parenting, where I threw some screens at them and I threw some Pop Tarts at them and said, fend for yourselves, kids. Just don't burn the house down.
Who wants to play lawn darts?
Exactly. We're going to go check and make sure everyone is hopefully still safe, sound, and working there. And then, going to continue to try and do that, and continue to try and refine ourselves, continue to, definitely got to get ready for the holidays, and still thinking about the content and still trying to put some stuff out. Still, I've earned a secondary title of meme commander here. So, got to keep up on that. Got to keep up on the memes, Jerry. Got to keep up on the memes.
Meme garden.
Yeah, but nevertheless, I am still so glad to be here. So glad I get to spend this time with you guys. And still, so thank you so much for all you Steam people out there now across the country. A couple of you listening in Europe. We see over there, England, a little bit in Germany. The Russians were listening to us, but there's been a little interruption in service. Sorry about that, Russia. Hopefully there's some background app you can still check us out on. But in the meantime, leading it out, you keep spreading the word, you keep pushing on out there, you keep your heat up, and you keep your head of steam on.
Ooh.